All right, traders. Hey, welcome on back this Friday morning and the end of the month, January 30th. Great to have all of us back here live inside our trading room. Got about 92 of us joining us live here this morning. Great to see Farzad, Leda, Mario, Charles, Nabil, Jim, all of us just here joining us here live. So great to see all of us there. All of us back on social, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., etc. Break out my Willy Wonka at least there. Lower left, though, just if you're new on YouTube or X, Twitter, otherwise, make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button down below. Just at cybertradingu is our handle. Listen, we came off a huge event last night with Mumu. Fausto's on, or actually at their offices in Toronto. So he's actually commuting back today, later on this afternoon at least. And we'll be back inside our room for all of us live on Monday for all of us here just joining us, our students, that is. But otherwise, so we came off such a successful event with Mumu last night. And we're going to have a lot more to do with them coming up in the near future in terms of showing their platform live in our room, going through a couple of different workshops with them. So looking forward to that, right? Now, otherwise, though, we have a lot more to go through in terms of education today. We have our phase 2 course, the phase 2 stock course lined up this morning, coming up at 10:30, and more of our newer classes that we've been kind of updating our curriculum with. And this morning we're going to talk about a topic that has to do with strategy, trading and icebergs and all of that, but it has to do more on the psychology side, and that has to do with managing red days and trading slumps. So that's going to be more of like a group discussion class than anything. Of course, I'll be sharing my experience with you, and there will be a little teaching involved. But a lot of us here that are students, Farzad, Leda, Andrea, Lawrence, etc., have decades upon decades worth of experience as market participants. So I'd want to hear from them. It's more of a group discussion than anything in this class coming on up this morning. So very much looking forward to that. Now, with that, though, we still have a pretty filled in Friday in terms of the market. I know that Trump just announced that there's going to be a new Fed chair coming up very soon. Pardon me, I still got to get my caffeine in me here. I forgot the fella's name. But obviously, Trump, recommended him. He's appointing him personally. So obviously, he thinks he's going to do a good job. And with that, we're going to see how the markets react today, next week, as we head into February. So there could be some good volatility ahead, right? But let's come off yesterday still, right? Let's just switch this to a 5-minute chart. This thing's popping right now. But the meta trade, right? Facebook, Meta Platforms had a huge pop 2 nights ago and ended up making this big squeeze back up going into the market open. Good little day trade, good little slingshot here, right? So pulled back and then ended up making this big move back up. Listen, it was worth a decent day trade, and you could trade the ETF, METU. So that was good for our students that were inside our live trading room there. We did pretty good across the board, though. The CCL trade was a nice pop once the market had opened up. The NCLH trade tailed with it. So the cruise line stocks we are very familiar with just from during COVID time. We did pretty good on some shorts also. Of course, Microsoft, speaking of the large cap stocks, that took such a hit from their earnings. So it's not that frequent that you see a Mag 7, let alone Microsoft, of them being down like, what was it, 11%? Pretty crazy, right? Sam with the name there, Kevin Warsh. I thought it was going to be Walsh, my dyslexia there. Kevin Warsh, new Fed chair. There we go. So at least with that, though, Microsoft off their earnings the night before, they had a huge drop. Let's see. There it is. There's the earnings drop. Then it pulled back more once the market had opened up. So we had the ETFs for that. I think it was the MSFU, was it? Cheaper. You could trade it, right? You could short it. We had a couple of other good shorts, though, and those had the inverse ETFs. So MSTR common, that ended up dropping off nicely. You had the inverse, though, MSTZ, cheap, pushed up pretty nicely. Crypto took a huge hit overnight. We'll get to that, of course, coming up soon. BMNR, another crypto-related play, dropped off pretty nicely. You got the BMNZ, which moved up inverse. So remember, if you don't have an account where you could short in, then nowadays you have more opportunities than ever. You don't need to go to the options market. You don't need to buy puts and do all that stuff. For anyone that trades options, I'm not really talking to you as much. If you already have good footing in the options market and make money consistently, then perfect. Don't fix anything. It's just to say, though, for anyone that's not familiar with options, well, the reason people would go to them is because, oh, they're cheaper. Well, yeah, but they're much more volatile. It's the underlying movement of the stock that affects the option. So that's just where here on the ETF side, it is similar in that sense. Like we actually trade the ETFs based on the equity levels based on the stock. So you can't really look at bookmap for this thing, BMNZ. You got to actually trade it to the BMNR stock levels. But this is a good alternative. You could buy this as the stock is falling off. So jump in from around 17.50, 18 bucks as it's beginning to push up. Well, that's just right when BMNR is beginning to push back down. It's beginning to pull back more. So you could do it that way. You could focus on the bookmap levels for this, either or. Just pointing out that there's just plenty of good trading opportunities. Rigetti, RGTZ, right? We just said that if I'm not mistaken. You got the IONZ. I can go through them all, right? But nonetheless, though, aside from those, we even had this feed trade. So I still have my chart all marked up here from coaching sessions, private one-on-ones from students earlier yesterday. Maybe I'll go over this even in our phase 2 class later on today when it comes to just trade analysis, and you can kind of use this in alignment with managing red days if anyone took a loss on this. This was a great move though. I actually missed out on this when the market had opened up. I was focused on other stocks, and this kind of took off on its own right away at the opening bell. It was actually a stock from the day before. So we ended up doing pretty well on this thing the day before this, and it was started off at like $1. So it pushed from $1 up to like 5 over here. Ended up making a nice push though just yesterday. And heading into the open today, it still seems pretty active. The only issue is on the stock is that like Fausto and myself both kind of read the news. We're like, yeah, I don't really know what to make of this. It has to do with syringes, some deal, some development deal, contract. I don't know. Nonetheless, though, we don't necessarily buy or sell a stock based off the news. We'll buy or sell based on the trend, the liquidity. Even for pre-market right now, it's crazy. This thing actually doesn't have a terrible spread. You know what I mean? Like it's actually starting to prove itself just a little bit in terms of the volume. I still think, though, it's up a lot this week. I still think that going into the end of a weekly candle, you could see further profit taking. It's going to open up this morning at 412. So if it just blasts higher here, I'll be all here for that. I don't mind putting this on our main list right now just to begin the morning. But if it just holds below this area and keeps with lower highs, it's done. All right. So it's on kind of thin ice, but we'll put it back on our list for the time being. It's still pretty active today, up 7%. All right. Anything else from yesterday? What else we get? I think that was pretty much it. I mean, I can go over one or two more, things at least there. But what we'll just do right now to preserve time is go across the percent gainers and losers list here. Fat BB, Fat Brands, Class B Common. I don't know what the heck this is here. Fat BB. It's a funny name. So the only thing I'm thinking here of this thing is that like maybe the meme stock people, all the trolls and people that live online incessantly on social media, just maybe those people kind of see value in like, oh, Fat BB, it's a funny name, and like, you can push it up. Like, all right, well, if that happens, then we'll call it out then. Just, I got a feeling that the book map for this thing is going to be ugly. It's not really doing a whole lot here after the after hours move it had. It had an early morning squeeze, and then it's been lower high since. So I would even say let that thing prove itself to us. I'm not really too much of a fan of it right now. VIVS, you could say the same thing on too, unfortunately. Both of those trades, the order book isn't so bad, at least in terms of the liquidity. It's like great spread, good orders, in terms of that there. So it's filled in, quote unquote, but want something that has a better trend to it. And if nothing else in pre-market has like that better trend to it, then we might actually have to go back to those trades. Even this like SPHL popped at 9 o'clock, but hey, look at the lack of liquidity. That's that's what's missing here. But look at this thing shake back down. It's nasty. I have a feeling that's what we're going to see on Friday today. The PMN stock, this one might make the cut for right now. It's pulling back a little bit here, but it was pretty jumpy early after 8 o'clock in the morning. Built support pretty well, pushed up to make a higher high. Maybe this is just a higher low. So there is thought behind the chart still being strong. Just hopefully the order book fills in for this trade. More of a category 4 or 5 stock there. I'll edit. All right, so silver going down, ZSL going up. That's been called out over and over in our room just from the beginning of this week even, right? We ended up seeing the SLV stock, or ETF rather, top off just the other day, 2 days ago, right at 110. I think it was this year. Yeah, it was this. This was even back on Monday. This was the first day that we noticed such a sharp drop on silver, and then I guess it broke higher there for a moment just the other day. But look at these wicks down. Look at these crazy shakes down and drops. That's brutal. So this is where we just mention all the time in terms of exhaustion. If we happen to see a rather unusual volume spike here, volume bar, volume spike, well, we kind of keep seeing higher lows. Once this breaks this, all hell is going to break loose. That's at 96. Oh, it did it this morning. So, yep, that's not good. I mean, it might squeeze up there first today after the market opens up, but I would expect that to hold as resistance at first and then perhaps a shake back down. I mean, it's trending down here leading into the open. So follow the trend even more than anything right now. This might just crash ASAP. But the SLV trade, very weak. ZSL, very strong because that goes inverse. That's an inverse ETF. So nice play there. All right, we got CIS, we got GDXG or GDXD, my dyslexia. I don't know which one this is. That's the inverse because dust is up also. That's an inverse ETF. So GDXG is also an inverse. It's cheap. You got a lot of these up this morning. So, I mean, spot gold down quite a bit. I saw it pull back below 5,000. I mean, all the metals are getting hit. Bitcoin's taking a hit. The market's pulling back towards big support. Let's see what else we got, though, here otherwise before we finish up. We got the fee trade. That kind of made the cut for right now. Verizon's up a little bit this morning. Actually, long term. Wow, long term Verizon's kind of shite. It really is. Look at that. It's not a great graph. Look at AT&T, though, on the other hand. I mean, this has had a stronger reversal since 2023. So I felt more impressed by AT&T, I guess, there. That's where I thought maybe Verizon was kind of strong. Wow, it's like not strong one bit. I mean, way weaker than AT&T. Just for reference, how about T-Mobile, right? How about T-Mobile? Didn't T-Mobile have a huge run up going back into 2024? So, of course, they became overextended, but that was such a nice play themselves. But yeah, right now Verizon, I'll kind of pass. Nothing that great about it. I'd rather conserve a spot on our list for a familiar stock, a stock that we do better with typically, at least when there's news out. So SoFi had some move this morning. I don't mind just kind of making a little room for the SoFi trade. Very tradable. What happened? Better than expected Q4, and they issued Q1 and fiscal year or full year 26 revenue guidance. Okay, that's nice. So it's good to see. Pretty good news all across the board, not just the EPS or the revenue numbers, but also guidance above estimates. So that's pretty good. It's only up 5%, so perhaps there could be more to it. It's up 5% in a weak market. So there's also saying that. Yeah, SoFi, we got it. All right, what else we got here heading into the open? Well, let's hop over to the losers list at least right now, seeing if there's anything looking good there. Probably should be. I mean, again, the market's not looking too great, so probably find some good shorts. SLV, got you already. A lot of like kind of garbage stocks, or maybe like the mining stocks are down big. HL, CDE, those could be good plays. There's not, I mean, maybe the HL is a little bit weaker than that CDE in terms of like near the pre-market lows. Probably get some good action on some of those gold, silver mining stocks out there. I'm not really too particular about any one of them right now. Like maybe that one just before, but if they start pulling back closer to pre-market lows after the market does open, then then we'll absolutely kind of just put them in the rotation. UBC's down a little bit. Uranium. You got AMD down over. Ooh, hello. That's a drop. All right, AMD going on our list. What happened here? Is it just a market drop or is it AMD altogether? It's not a market drop. All right, well, something clearly happened here with AMD. I don't really have any news open on this trade right now. Like I'm looking at Benzinga Pro. They got nothing from me yet on this trade. So let me just go to Twitter really quick, folks. I mean, talk about living online. I'm going to just jump right to twitter.com/X. That is otherwise. But let's see, any news out on AMD? Holy smokes, this thing's getting hit. I swear to you, I swear to you, I'm going to show you something right now, and I'm partially trolling. I'm partially joking right now on a Friday morning. I just want to let you know that. But I'm also not joking in the sense that this is a real picture. I mean, that what was that from 50 minutes ago? Today? 50 minutes ago? That can't be. Guys, that can't be. Come on, come on. There's got to be more news to it than just the Kramer curse. That's insane. That's pretty wicked. No, there has to be actual news out with it. Um, I've always loved Lisa Sue. For any of my longtime C2 students here that know my affiliation with AMD stock. Well, I've always been a big Lisa Sue guy myself. So he's right with thinking that. But geez, there had to have been something else there. It's not just Kramer. I'm just pulling leg there on a Friday morning. But AMD right now down big. You got the AMD L Trade ETF down with it. So AMD, AMDL. Let's see, is it NVIDIA? Nope, not NVIDIA. It's not really. I mean, Taiwan dropped a little bit. Avgo up. I mean, a lot of these semiconductor trades are up this morning. So otherwise, yeah, there's got to be something bad out there on AMD. I'm just going to put it on our list as a potential short. All right, guys. Some chat here in our room. Pat, Jen, and Leda, all of us here in our room right now, kind of discussing Kramer. All right, folks. Hey, perfect. Going into the market open. Best of luck trading for all of us here collectively. If you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., just make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button just down below. And if you don't know where our channels are, it's right there lower left. At cybertradingu is our formal name on YouTube or on X/Twitter. If you wanted to join us for our next upcoming webinar, you could do that by going right down to the link scrolling on the banner below on the bottom there, blue, ct.co/free. You could also scan that QR code. Also scan that QR code with your phone, with your camera on the top left. A lot of different ways to get you involved here with Cyber Trading University if you're on social right now. But otherwise, hey, it's Friday, right? So enjoy the weekend. Otherwise, if you're not sticking around, and stay warm, please. Drive safe, and especially if you're in like icy conditions, black ice, all that stuff out there. Drive safe. If not, just stay inside, right? It's one of those weekends where it's good to just bundle up, sip some warm tea, maybe a hot toddy, whatever it is. But stay warm, folks, heading into the weekend. And we'll be back going into the market open for all of us here live in our room. Otherwise, for all of us on social, back later on today. Take care.